Something feels off, and deep down you already know it. The harder you push, the further it slips. The tighter you hold, the faster it disappears. This is not random. This is not bad timing. And it is definitely not just in your head. There is a pattern behind this, a quiet force that most people never notice, yet it controls the results they get in life. Money seems to come easily to some, while others chase it for years without progress. Love flows naturally for a few, while others feel stuck in cycles of disappointment. Success looks effortless from the outside, but for many it feels like running in place. And the truth is uncomfortable. The more you want something, the more you may be pushing it away without even realizing it. This is where everything starts to shift, because what looks like desire on the surface is often something deeper underneath. It is not the wanting that creates results, it is the feeling behind the wanting. And when that feeling comes from lack, from pressure, from urgency, it sends a completely different signal than most people think. Every time you focus on what is missing, every time your mind repeats the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you strengthen that gap, not because life is unfair, but because your internal state is shaping your external outcomes in ways that are subtle but powerful. And this is the part that most people miss. They believe they are doing everything right, they stay motivated, they think about their goals all day, they work harder, push more, and try to stay positive, yet nothing changes. Or worse, things start to move even further away. There is a reason for that. A hidden mechanism that does not respond to words but to signals, not to effort alone but to alignment. And this is where the law of attraction is often misunderstood. It is not about wishing harder. It is not about repeating phrases without meaning. It is about the energy you carry when no one is watching, the quiet thoughts you repeat when things are not going your way, and the emotional state you return to again and again. These patterns are not obvious, but they are consistent, and once you see them clearly, you start to notice how often you may have been working against yourself without meaning to. There are stories that rarely get attention. People who stop chasing something completely, only to have it appear in their life shortly after. Opportunities that showed up when the pressure disappeared. Relationships that formed when the need for them faded. Financial breakthroughs that happened not at the peak of struggle, but at the moment of calm. These are not accidents. They follow a pattern that becomes visible only when you understand the deeper principle behind attraction, a principle that goes against what most people are taught. Because everything around you says push harder, want it more, stay focused on the goal. But what if that approach is exactly what is keeping it away? This is where things become clear, and also a little uncomfortable, because it means the solution is not outside. It is not about waiting for the right moment or finding the perfect strategy. It is about shifting something internal that changes how everything else responds. And that shift is simple, but not easy. It requires awareness, it requires honesty, and most importantly, it requires letting go of a pattern that feels natural but works against you. The pattern of chasing. In this video, you are going to learn why intense desire can actually create resistance, how your mind unknowingly reinforces the very thing you are trying to escape, and what really needs to change if you want different results. You will understand the difference between wanting something and aligning with it, why calm certainty is more powerful than desperate effort, and how small shifts in your thinking can completely change what you attract into your life. This is not about blind belief. This is about understanding a principle that operates whether you are aware of it or not. By the end of this video, you will start to see your own patterns more clearly. You will notice the subtle ways your thoughts shape your outcomes. And more importantly, you will know exactly what to do differently, because once this clicks, everything starts to make sense. The frustration, the delays, the moments where things felt close but slipped away. It all connects. And once you understand the connection, you gain control in a way that most people never do. So stay with this till the end, because what you are about to hear can change how you approach everything you want in life. Not by forcing more effort, but by removing what has been quietly holding you back. And once you see it, you will not be able to go back to the old way of thinking. Welcome to the channel, where we break down ideas that shift the way you think and the way you live. If you are ready to understand things on a deeper level and take control of your mindset, make sure to subscribe and be part of this journey. Most people make the same mistake, and it feels so normal that they never question it. They believe that the stronger they want something, the faster it will come. So they push harder. They think about it all day. They replay it in their mind again and again. They keep reminding themselves how important it is. On the surface, it looks like focus. It looks like ambition. It even feels like progress. But underneath, something very different is happening. The more they think about it, the more they notice that it is not here yet. The more they try to force it, the more they feel the distance between where they are and where they want to be. That distance starts to grow inside their mind. It becomes louder with time, and without realizing it, they begin to train themselves to feel lack instead of fulfillment. This is where the real problem begins, because every time the thought appears, it is not just a neutral thought. It carries a feeling that says something is missing, a feeling that says something is not complete. And that feeling becomes the dominant signal they send out every single day. It shows up in small ways at first. Checking your phone again and again to see if a message has arrived. Looking at your bank account more times than necessary. Thinking about a goal late at night and feeling restless because it has not happened yet. These actions seem harmless, but they are not neutral. They are signals. Each one reinforces the same message. It is not here. It is not mine. I am still waiting. Over time, this pattern becomes automatic. The mind keeps returning to the same place, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it has learned to focus on what feels important. And what feels important is often what feels missing. So the loop continues. You think about it, you check for it, you feel the absence, and then you repeat the cycle again. This creates a quiet pressure inside you. A pressure that does not always show on the outside, but it is there. It shapes your thoughts, your reactions, and even your decisions. The emotional weight of this pattern builds slowly. At first it feels like motivation, then it turns into impatience. After that it becomes frustration, and eventually it can turn into doubt. You start to question yourself. You start to wonder if something is wrong. You may even compare yourself to others who seem to get the same thing easily. This comparison adds more pressure. It strengthens the belief that you are behind or lacking in some way, and that belief becomes part of your identity without you noticing. Now it is no longer just a desire. It becomes something deeper. It becomes a constant reminder of what is not working. And the more you focus on that, the stronger it becomes. Every time you say, "I want it," you are also saying, "I don't have it." That sentence carries more weight than it seems, because your mind does not just hear the word want, it feels the absence behind it. It registers the gap, and it starts to build a reality around that gap, not because it is trying to work against you, but because it reflects what you feel most strongly. This is why effort alone does not always lead to results. You can work hard and still feel stuck. You can stay focused and still feel like nothing is moving, because the deeper signal is not aligned with the outcome you are trying to create. There is a hidden layer behind all of this, a principle that most people hear about but rarely understand fully. It is often explained in simple ways, but its depth is easy to miss. The idea is not that you attract what you want. The idea is that you attract what you feel you already are. This changes everything, because it shifts the focus from the outside to the inside. It shows that the result is not just based on action but on state. Your state is made of your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs combined. It is the overall feeling you carry throughout your day. And this feeling acts like a signal that shapes your experience. Energy in this sense is not something mysterious. It is simply the combination of feeling and belief repeated over time. When you believe something and feel it strongly, it becomes real to you. And when it becomes real to you, it starts to influence your behavior, your choices, and your reactions. All of this together creates a pattern, and that pattern produces results. If the pattern is based on lack, the results reflect that lack. If the pattern is based on certainty, the results begin to align with that certainty. The universe does not respond to words alone. Words are easy to say. You can repeat positive phrases without feeling them, and nothing will change. What matters is the state behind those words. If the state is filled with doubt, fear, or pressure, then that is the signal being sent, and that is what gets reflected back. This is why two people can say the same thing but get completely different results. One says it with calm belief, the other says it with hidden doubt. The difference is not in the words, it is in the feeling. Desperation pushes things away. Calm certainty pulls them in. This is not just a phrase, it is a pattern that shows up in many areas of life. When you feel desperate, your actions become tense, your decisions become reactive. You may try to control outcomes too tightly. You may overthink small details. All of this creates resistance, not because you are doing something wrong, but because your state is not stable. It is searching, it is reaching, it is trying to fix something that feels incomplete. And that constant effort to fix reinforces the idea that something is broken or missing. On the other hand, calm certainty creates a different experience. When you feel certain, you do not rush, you do not force, you move with a sense of ease. Your actions still exist, but they come from a different place. They come from confidence instead of fear. This changes how others respond to you. It changes how you see opportunities. It even changes how you interpret situations. What once felt like rejection may now feel like redirection. What once felt like delay may now feel like timing. The same external events can feel completely different based on your internal state. This is where the idea of chasing becomes important. Wanting too much often turns into chasing, and chasing is not just physical action, it is an internal state. It is the feeling of trying to catch something that is not yours yet. It carries urgency, it carries pressure, it carries the belief that you need this thing to feel complete, and that belief becomes the core signal you send out. When you chase, you are constantly telling yourself that the thing is outside of you, separate from you, and not yet yours. This creates a loop that is hard to break. The more you chase, the more you feel the distance. The more you feel the distance, the more you chase, and the cycle continues. It does not matter how hard you try if the underlying state remains the same, because the state is what shapes the outcome. This is why chasing often leads to burnout. You give energy without receiving the result you expect. You start to feel drained, and that feeling adds another layer of resistance. When you chase, you send two strong signals. The first is, it's not mine. The second is, I need it to feel complete. Both of these signals come from lack, and both of them reinforce the idea that something is missing. Over time, this becomes your default state. You start to see life through this lens. You start to expect things to be out of reach, and those expectations shape your experience in ways that feel real and consistent. And what you believe is missing stays missing. Not because it is being taken away, but because your focus keeps it in that position. Your attention acts like a spotlight. Whatever you focus on becomes more real in your mind. If you focus on absence, absence grows. If you focus on fulfillment, fulfillment begins to take shape. This does not happen instantly, but it builds over time through repetition. This is where the shift begins. It is not about doing more. It is about doing differently. Instead of chasing, you start embodying. Instead of reaching for something outside, you begin to align with the feeling of already having it. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means changing how you relate to it. It means choosing a state that supports the outcome instead of resisting it. Feeling like you already have it may sound simple, but it requires awareness. It means noticing when your thoughts move toward lack and gently guiding them back to certainty. It means allowing yourself to experience calm even when the result is not visible yet. It means trusting that the process is working even when there is no immediate proof. Detaching from the outcome is a key part of this shift. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing. There is a difference. Caring comes from interest and intention. Needing comes from lack and pressure. When you release the need, you create space. And in that space, things can move more freely. Trust becomes important here, not blind trust, but a quiet confidence that things are unfolding in the right way. This confidence reduces resistance. It allows your state to remain stable, and that stability creates a consistent signal that supports your goal. Instead of saying, "I need this," the shift is to say, "It's already on its way." This changes the feeling behind the thought. It replaces urgency with patience. It replaces doubt with expectation. And over time, this new pattern becomes natural. When you stop needing, things start coming. Not because you gave up, but because you removed the resistance that was holding them back. Your actions become clearer. Your decisions become more aligned. And your experience begins to reflect that change. To apply this in real life, you start with awareness. Notice when you feel desperate. Notice when your thoughts focus on what is missing. Do not judge it, just observe it. This awareness is the first step to change. Then pause and reset. Take a moment to step back from the thought. Breathe. Create a small gap between the reaction and the response. This gap gives you space to choose a different direction. Replace lack thoughts with certainty. This does not mean forcing positivity. It means choosing a thought that feels more stable, a thought that supports calm instead of pressure. Over time, these small shifts build a new pattern. Focus on your current state instead of results. The result will come as a reflection of the state, so the state becomes the priority. When the state is aligned, the outcome follows. This is not about pretending. It is about shifting how you feel inside. It is about choosing a state that supports what you want instead of reinforcing what you lack. And as this shift becomes consistent, everything around you begins to respond in a different way. At some point, everything becomes clear in a quiet way, not loud, not dramatic. Just a simple realization that changes how you see everything. You were never chasing your desires. You were chasing a feeling of completion, a feeling of being enough, a feeling of finally having what you thought was missing. And the moment you understand this, something shifts inside you, because now you see that the real power was never in the outside result. It was always in your state. Your state is always speaking, even when you are silent. It is shaping your experience, guiding your actions, and influencing what comes into your life, not through force, but through alignment. Every thought you repeat, every feeling you hold on to, every belief you accept, it all builds the signal you send out. And that signal is either attracting or repelling what you want. This is why chasing never works the way you expect, because chasing is not just action, it is a state of lack. It is the feeling that something is far from you, separate from you, and needed for you to feel complete. And as long as that feeling stays, the distance stays. But the moment you stop running after it, something changes. The pressure fades. The resistance softens, and things begin to move in a different way. The moment you stop running after it, it starts moving toward you, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. You remove the noise, you let go of the urgency, you stop telling yourself that it was missing, and in that space, things begin to flow naturally. This is the part most people overlook. They focus on doing more, pushing harder, wanting stronger. But attraction works in a different way, because attraction works best when you are not desperate. It works when you are steady, when you are calm, when you trust without needing constant proof. That kind of energy is quiet, but it is powerful. It does not chase, it allows. And in that allowing, things find their way to you without force. So the real question is not what you want anymore. The real question is who you are being while you want it. Because that is what creates the difference. That is what shapes the outcome. And that is what determines whether something feels out of reach or already on its way. If this shifted the way you see things, do not just move on and forget it. Let it stay with you. Let it change how you think, how you feel, and how you approach what you want. And if you feel this can help someone else, share it with them. Sometimes one idea at the right moment can change everything. Take a second to like the video. It helps more than you think. And if you want more content that actually changes how you see your life and your mindset, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Stay connected and keep growing.